The space station Eos-9 floated on the edge of the Andromeda sector, a small hub for interstellar trade and observation. Its metal walls gleamed under the faint starlight, but inside, tension filled the corridors like static electricity. Human. Scientists and pilots moved hurriedly, checking screens and instruments, preparing for another day of monitoring alien activity. Among them was Dr. Elias Grant, a tall, lean man with sharp eyes that missed almost nothing. He had spent years studying alien life, but even he had never encountered anything like what the station had detected in the last 24 hours. A small rogue alien ship had appeared out of nowhere, emitting strange signals that no one could decode. No one knew what or who was coming. The first hint of trouble came when the communications panel blinked red. Unknown vessel approaching, the AI voice announced. No identification. Boarding requested. Elias frowned. He had expected routine traffic, maybe another cargo freighter, but not this. Something about the signals had set his gut on edge. They were irregular, almost playful but calculated. Dangerous, he thought. Prepare the crew, he ordered. And arm the defense drones. If this is a hostile, we cannot afford mistakes. Minutes later, the alien ship docked with a soft clang. The airlock hissed open, and a figure appeared, no taller than 3 feet. It was Commander Zara, the infamous rogue alien. Her skin shimmered in faint hues of violet and silver, like liquid metal catching the light. Eyes as sharp as a hawk's scanned the humans before her, and a smile flickered on her tiny lips, a smile that did not reach her eyes. The human crew froze, some whispered warnings. Others stared openly, unsure whether to be terrified or impressed. Zara's reputation preceded her. She was cunning, relentless, and far more intelligent than her small frame suggested. Tales of her outsmarting fleets twice her size had circulated through space logs. But nothing could prepare them for meeting her in person. I hear you think you can contain me, she said, her voice calm, almost musical, yet sharp enough to cut metal. Elias stepped forward. We're here to study, not fight. Your signals were unusual. Zara tilted her head. Unusual, perhaps. Or perhaps you simply cannot comprehend my genius. Her words made the crew stiffen. She was arrogant, but there was a spark in her tone that demanded attention. Elias realized this encounter would not be ordinary. The initial examination seemed routine, but subtle tension built like a coiled spring. Zara's small hands hovered near a device strapped to her chest. Humans did not understand it, but it hummed faintly, reacting to her movements. You carry strange technology, Elias noted cautiously. Zara laughed softly. Oh, this? Just a little toy. You wouldn't understand its purpose. Her confidence was infuriating and unsettling. The crew could feel it, a quiet pressure that made them rethink their every move. Even the stations. AI seemed hesitant, pausing mid-analysis as if uncertain how to handle her presence. Then came the moment that would echo in Elias's mind for the days to come. You'll never get me pregnant, Zara announced suddenly, pointing a tiny finger at him with mock accusation. The room went silent. Some humans blinked, confused. Others laughed nervously. Elias himself froze. It was not just the audacity of her words. It was the confidence, the challenge, the underlying warning. She means it, whispered a young engineer beside him. Elias didn't need confirmation. He knew the statement was layered, biological, tactical, and psychological. Zara was not just teasing. She was making a statement about dominance, strategy, and something far more complex than they could predict. The days that followed were tense. Humans observed Zara constantly, analyzing her movements, her technology, even her speech patterns. She moved with grace, tiny feet barely touching the metal floors. Yet her presence dominated the station. One evening, Elias walked the observation deck, reviewing logs from the last few days. Screens flashed with unreadable symbols from Zara's device. She's sending messages, he murmured, but not to us. To someone or something else. The AI confirmed it. Signals detected. Origin unknown. Possibly extraterrestrial. Elias felt a chill. Zara was not just a visitor. She was a variable no one could calculate, a force outside their control. Meanwhile, Zara explored the station. She examined corridors, maintenance shafts, and laboratories, her tiny frame slipping through gaps humans thought secure. She observed the humans quietly, noting weaknesses in strategies. During a routine security check, the crew discovered a subtle anomaly in the life support system. Pressure levels fluctuated slightly, nothing catastrophic but enough to raise alarms. Zara had touched it. Sabotage? A security officer whispered. Elias shook his head. I don't think so. Not yet. She's testing us. Seeing what we notice, what we ignore. Zara appeared at that moment, standing atop a console with effortless balance. Oh, do you think I would harm you? I am merely curious. Observation is my art. The humans swallowed their unease. Observation or not, they realized the tiniest alien could control the fate of everyone on the station with a single misstep or a single decision. That night, Elias lay awake in his quarters, thinking of Zara's device, her words, her presence. You'll never get me pregnant. He repeated the phrase in his mind, trying to understand its implications. There was humor, arrogance, and danger in it all. Suddenly, a warning light blinked on his console. The alien device had activated. Small, bright pulses of energy spread across the station's network. Systems flickered, doors locked. Life support hummed oddly. Elias jumped to his feet. She's testing her control. Zara's tiny voice came from the corridor, calm as ever. Curiosity requires experimentation. Do not panic. You might break if you try. Panic was not an option. Elias knew that. Every decision now would matter. Every hesitation could be fatal. The humans attempted to regain control, rerouting power and overriding the systems manually. But Zara had anticipated every move. She slipped through vents, small and silent, appearing wherever they needed her least. Elias finally realized what they were up against. This was not merely a rogue alien. Zara was a predator of intellect, cunning, and strategy. And her challenge to them, her infamous claim, was just the beginning. Hours passed. Sweat beaded on human foreheads. Systems stabilized, but tension remained. Every crew member knew that this encounter would not end here. Zara, sitting cross-legged on a console, smiled faintly. You see, size does not matter. Mind, strategy, and will. These define control. Elias clenched his jaw. Then we will find a way. Humans have survived worse than this. Zara's eyes glittered. Perhaps. But you underestimate what I can do. And underestimating me is a mistake you will regret. The night ended with uncertainty, fear, and fascination. Humans had met a tiny alien commander, but they realized quickly that her size was irrelevant. Her presence alone threatened to change the balance of power, and the mysterious device she carried hinted at something far beyond human understanding. By morning, the crew had learned one undeniable truth. Zara could not be ignored. She could not be underestimated. And though she seemed almost playful in her arrogance, there was a deadly seriousness beneath every gesture, every word. Elias stared at the observation window, watching Zara in the distance. Her figure, small but commanding, moved with precision and purpose. He felt a mixture of awe, fear, and curiosity. This tiny alien, 3 feet tall, had entered their world and thrown everything into uncertainty. And deep down, Elias knew that this was only the beginning. Because somewhere in Zara's mind, a plan was unfolding. A plan humans could barely comprehend. And it all began with a single declaration: "You'll never get me pregnant." The days after Zara's arrival had transformed Eos-9 from a calm space station into a web of tension and anticipation. Every crew member moved cautiously, Aware that a tiny alien commander of immense cunning could disrupt everything at any moment, Elias Grant had barely slept. Each time he closed his eyes, he imagined Zara slipping through vents, tapping into systems he thought were secure. Her words still echoed in his mind. "You'll never get me pregnant." The phrase, at first absurd, now carried a warning and a challenge that humans could not ignore. Rising tension, Zara had settled into the station as if it were hers. Small figure perched on consoles, floating between corridors like a shadow. She observed silently, laughing at minor human errors. "You really think you can control this station?" she asked one day, balancing on the edge of the observation deck. Elias clenched his fists. "We're trying to keep everyone safe. That's all." Zara tilted her head. "Trying. But effort is useless against someone who plans 20 steps ahead." Humans soon realized her biological advantage. Her small size was deceptive. She could slip through ventilation shafts, access maintenance panels undetected, and manipulate energy conduits with precision. One day, a minor leak in the oxygen system, unnoticed by sensors, nearly caused panic. It was Zara testing their reaction. "She's always watching," whispered Lieutenant Mara. "Every move we make." Elias nodded. "And she's learning from us. Faster than we learn from her." The mistake: after a week of subtle manipulations, humans decided to act. Security protocols were reinforced, drones were armed, and a team was sent to confront Zara. They underestimated her. When the team cornered her near the engineering bay, Zara did not panic. Instead, she smiled, her violet skin shimmering in the dim light. "You think you've trapped me?" she asked, eyes gleaming. Before anyone could respond, she activated the small device on her chest. Lights pulsed across the room, and the entire bay's systems froze for a brief moment. Drones locked onto her, but she slipped through their sensors like water through fingers. Elias's team was stunned. Impossible. She should not have been able to escape. Zara's tiny voice echoed from above. "You forget one thing. Intelligence is not measured in size. Observe, adapt, survive. That is the law of life." The crew had made a critical mistake. They underestimated her. Conflict-scene Zara continued her silent observation, but tension escalated. She sabotaged minor systems. Communications temporarily went offline. Life support fluctuated, and alarms blared without warning. Humans were forced to adapt rapidly, making split-second decisions that tested their skills. Courage and teamwork. During one encounter, Elias personally attempted to override the life support systems Zara had tampered with. As he worked, the tiny commander appeared on the console next to him, her presence almost surreal. "You think your hands can outdo my mind?" she asked, her voice calm, teasing. Elias froze for a moment, realizing the truth. No brute force, no weapon, could outmatch Zara's intellect. The humans' only hope lay in their ability to think creatively, to predict the unpredictable, and to work together flawlessly. HFY moment. Human ingenuity. Elias recalled an old protocol used in deep space missions. A clever energy reroute that could stabilize a station system temporarily while overriding external interference. "Everyone, follow my lead," he shouted. Working together, the humans rerouted power, synchronized systems, and countered Zara's device. Each move required split-second timing, coordination, and trust. The small alien watched, eyes narrowing, her smile fading. For the first time, humans were not reacting, they were dictating the pace of the encounter. Their intelligence, strategy, and determination were matching Zara's cunning. By the end of the operation, the station system stabilized, and Zara had to retreat to a safe corner. The humans had won a small critical victory, not through force, but through courage, intelligence, and teamwork. Twist, Suspense Era's expression was unreadable. She observed the humans with a mixture of frustration and grudging respect. "You have potential," she said finally. Potential I did not anticipate, perhaps. I underestimated you." Her words carried a hidden warning. Zara was not defeated. Not even close. The tiny alien commander had a plan far larger than humans could perceive. That night, while Elias reviewed the events, the station's sensors detected another anomaly. Zara's device had emitted a faint biological signal, subtle, almost imperceptible. "What? What is that?" Lieutenant Mara asked, pointing at the readings. Elias swallowed. The implications were clear, but unspoken. Zara's earlier claim about pregnancy was not a joke. Her biology, combined with her cunning, meant that humans could be drawn into circumstances beyond comprehension. Zara had turned the tables, making humans not just observers, but potential participants in a biological and tactical game. Zara's personal agenda. As Part 2 progressed, Zara began to act with more direct purpose. She was curious, strategic, and playful, testing the limits of human resilience. Every minor sabotage, every challenge was calculated. She was not reckless. She was methodical. Elias and the crew realized that her small size hid layers of planning, biology, and intelligence that humans could barely fathom. Her device pulsed faintly with unknown energy patterns, hinting at capabilities far beyond the station's understanding. "You cannot predict me," she whispered once, as if to herself. "And that is why you will fail." Eventually, humans worked tirelessly, learning, adapting, surviving. They understood the stakes. Every decision could have irreversible consequences. Phi. Theme strengthened. The struggle was not only about survival. Humans demonstrated resilience, problem-solving, and adaptability, key themes in HFY stories. Despite being physically outmatched, their intelligence and unity allowed them to counter Zara's advantage. Earning a hard-won respect, Elias realized that human ingenuity was not just a tool, it was a statement. Against a cunning alien, size and power were secondary. Determination, creativity, and teamwork were what defined victory. Cliffhanger for Part 3. By the end of Part 2, humans had managed a temporary victory. They had learned Zara's strategies, stabilized the station, and survived her tests. But Zara had other plans. Late at night, the sensors picked up a subtle shift in the alien's device, an energy pulse linked to her biological signature. She had anticipated the human's countermoves. And she had one final plan. Elias stared at the readings, a chill running down his spine. Zara's earlier claim echoed again. "You'll never get me pregnant." Now it was no longer a challenge. It was a statement of intent, and humans had just stepped into her trap. Unknowingly, somewhere in the shadows, Zara watched, smiling faintly. She had underestimated the humans, but only slightly. The mistake was theirs now. They had survived Part 2, but the final reckoning was yet to come. The station Eos-9 had become a labyrinth of tension and anticipation. Every human on board was alert, aware that Commander Zara was far from defeated. Her tiny frame moved through vents and corridors, but her presence dominated every corner, every system, and every mind. Dr. Elias Grant walked the observation deck alone, staring at the stars beyond the station. Each flickering light reminded him of Zara's ingenuity, her device, and her cunning biological advantage. He had thought Part 2 was the hardest challenge, but now he knew the final confrontation was imminent. The climax begins late in the cycle. Alarms blared across the station. Zara's device activated fully, sending waves of energy throughout the corridors. Lights flickered, doors slammed shut, and life support hummed with unnatural rhythms. Humans scrambled, rushing to stabilize the systems. Elias barked orders. "Teams, lock down sectors, divert power. Watch your sensors." Zara appeared atop the central console, tiny but commanding. Her eyes gleamed with mischievous triumph. "You thought you had won," she said. "But you cannot comprehend the full scope of my plan. Your ingenuity is admirable, but insufficient. Elias clenched his jaw. We'll see about that. This was the moment everything depended on human skill, courage, and unity. The final battle of with Zara unleashed a series of challenges. Energy surges, false alarms, and minor sabotages designed to confuse and divide the humans. But Elias had prepared. Every team member knew their role, every move coordinated, every contingency anticipated. For every trick Zara devised, humans found a counter. Where she expected fear, she found resolve. Where she expected confusion, she met strategy. Lieutenant Mara led the engineering crew, rerouting power in real time. Technician Arlo manipulated sensor arrays to track Zara's movements. Every human act, small or large, was precise and clever. Zara's smirk faltered slightly. She had underestimated human teamwork and adaptability. The tiny alien commander realized, perhaps too late, that sheer intelligence alone could not dominate a species capable of such unity and resilience. HFY Triumph. Human ingenuity wins. Elias finally enacted a risky strategy. Using an override protocol, he synchronized station energy with a counter-frequency designed to neutralize Zara's device temporarily. The pulse surged, illuminating every corridor. Zara froze mid-step, tiny hands grasping at her chest device. She looked around, realizing that the humans had trapped her plan without harming her, without brute force, simply through intelligence and unity. Elias approached cautiously. It's over, for now. Zara's eyes narrowed. For the first time her arrogance faltered. Her tiny frame, once seemingly untouchable, now trembled ever so slightly. She had miscalculated. She had underestimated. Humans, and not completely, but enough for them to gain the upper hand. The biological twist. In the midst of the chaos, sensors revealed a faint biological signal from Zara's device. Humans had anticipated it and neutralized its effect, but the implications were clear. Zara's earlier statement, "You'll never get me pregnant," had been more than bravado. It was biological, tactical, and a psychological gambit. Humans had narrowly avoided a scenario where her cunning could manipulate life itself. She stepped back, blinking at the humans with genuine surprise. You actually countered it?" she whispered, voice tinged with disbelief. Elias nodded. "Your tactics were clever, but we adapt. That's what makes us human." Zara's pride faltered. She had underestimated the very species she had deemed inferior. The alien commanders. Regret. Zara's small figure lowered slightly. Her eyes, once sharp with challenge, now showed a glimmer of respect and regret. "I miscalculated," she admitted quietly. "I believed my intellect alone could outmatch you. I did not account for adaptability, determination, teamwork." Humans watched, cautious but intrigued. This tiny alien who had caused so much tension now seemed vulnerable, not physically, but in acknowledgement of her mistake. She had learned, and in learning, she had revealed the ultimate HFY moment. Human ingenuity, courage, and unity could overcome even the most advanced alien strategy. Resolution and reflection. With the station stabilized, humans and Zara reached a tentative understanding. She would remain under careful watch, but the dynamic had shifted. Humans were no longer passive observers. They had survived, learned, and triumphed. Elias observed Zara from the observation deck. "You thought size, biology, and intellect alone would dominate," he said softly. "But humans, we fight with mind, heart, and unity." Zara nodded, tiny shoulders slumping. "Perhaps I should have been more cautious. Perhaps I underestimated you all. I regret my assumptions." The alien commander, small and formidable, had met the human spirit and for the first time realized that raw cunning could not replace adaptability, bravery, and teamwork. A touch of humor and closure. Despite the tension, Zara could not resist a hint of humor. "You may have bested me this time," she said, voice playful. But do not get too confident. I am not finished. Yet, Elias chuckled softly. We'll be ready. Humans always are. The station returned to normal, lights steady, system stable. Crew members went back to their routines, hearts still racing from the ordeal. Zara, once a figure of intimidation, now walked among them with a new understanding. Humans were far more than she had predicted, foreshadowing for future adventures. Part 3 closed. The stars outside Eos-9 shimmered quietly. The tiny alien commander had faced a species she had underestimated. Humans had proven their resilience, intelligence, and unity. But the galaxy was vast, full of challenges, mysteries, and potential threats. Zara looked out at the stars, reflecting on the lessons she had learned. Regret mingled with admiration. She had made a mistake, and humans had survived it brilliantly. Somewhere in the distance, beyond the sensors and beyond the station, new challenges awaited. But humans had shown that, even against the odds, they could adapt, survive, and triumph. And in the heart of one small alien commander, a quiet acknowledgement settled. This species is not to be underestimated.